Just because you have your name on a truck doesn't mean you're running a business. Are you building something you control or just wearing the title of owner operator while someone else holds all the power? Tonight, we're going to expose the contractor trap. God, that sounds so catchy. And showing you how to take back control of your business, guys and gals. But hey, we're going to do this thing real quick, like we always do. And we'll be right back after this.
Paying too much for trucking insurance? What if you could save more by making one simple phone call and keep more profit? You could very well do just that with one simple call to Seabright Agency, 800-366-6466. Call now.
Now here's a question that all owner-operators and small fleet owners should consider. What happens when you access the unrivaled advantages that are available through the ES Advantage program? We asked Jeff and Charlie from Contractor's Corner to share their thoughts on how they've been able to utilize the discounts and services that are a part of the ES Advantage.
Your business will make you money if you do well at that business. And ES Advantage in trucking, they do really well at providing those services. So the effect that ES has had on our personal trucking operations, not even talking about what we do on the consulting arena, I've been able to save thousands of dollars a year in fuel because of the relationship with them. I have a new accountant that I work with, trucker CFO, that I learned about from ES Advantage.
They're giving you that 10,000 yard kind of support from behind that creates a way for you to succeed, which is one of the things that we love, because anything you can do to help someone succeed is going to help them succeed. They make money by making sure you make money.
Now, if you're an owner-operator or small fleet owner and you would like to learn more about how you can drive savings to the bottom line of your business, the ES Advantage program has the discounts and services that deliver the kind of unrivaled advantages that are designed to help you improve your overall operation. Get connected with the ES Advantage today.
Stop it.
I just like doing that to you, man. I can't help it. The look was great.
You're incorrigible.
Oh, man. Hey, Jeff, what's going on, buddy?
It's another day in paradise.
Man, I hear you. Look, Jeff's home. That's awesome. I'm home, like always. Hello, everybody. Craig was first. Go figure. He's back on the Craig bot.
Should we get the dad joke out of the way real quick?
Go for it.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
So Juan and Emal are exact twin brothers. Their mother only has one picture in her wallet, because when you've seen Juan, you've seen them all.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Oh, man.
Oh, I enjoy that one.
Trucker Tim, good to see you. He was second. Let's see. Sean was. Craig was first.
Oh, of course.
You were winding up your dad joke in your head. You missed me say it.
Oh, okay.
He's back. Craig Bot's back in charge. Sean third, Chris fourth, and then he said, "I'm not even going to be here, so whatever." Hey, James, good to see you. Lisa, nice. Mike, aka Narc, good to see you. Yeah, I don't know. Tim Ransom, Matt Nissen, hey. So we should just dive into this, Jeff.
Okay.
The intro, ready? Here we go. Many drivers get into the industry thinking they're entrepreneurs. Let's be real, that's not the truth. But they end up leased to a carrier with little control, financial freedom, or ownership. If you're stuck in the middle, we think this show might be for you. And there's going to be some caveats that we throw in the middle of this. There are some blanket statements that we will say, and then we're going to clarify and elaborate on them. Okay, because I think there's some distinctions that we need to make there. But we're going to break down the difference between truly being independent versus just being a driver with a fancy title, right? And then there's the middle grounds between those. And I think that understanding those nuances, good word, are important, because I think a lot of people think you're one or the other. You're truly independent or you're a driver with a fancy title, right? And so, definition, what is the contractor trap, right? And again, caveats are going to be coming, so pay attention a little bit. Operating under a lease agreement with limited business control. I already know someone's going to jump up and say, well, you have limited business control at where you're at, Charlie, at Swift. And some might say that, about another carrier, this. And while I will concede that there is limited control over certain aspects, I don't feel as limited as a lot of people in other contracts. And for me, that's where I feel I'm running my business, because I have a lot of say. Jeff was contracted at Swift for a lot of years. He had a lot of say in his day-to-day, his week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year. We've seen some horrific contracts on some of these places that were like, oh my God, bro, you are a glorified company driver. And some of them aren't even that, yeah. Think you're independent, try running without your tags, stickers, logs, right? Yeah, it's a trip.
Well, this is kind of why that's a good one there, Lance, because this is why we differentiate between being an owner operator leased to a carrier and being a carrier,
right?
Having your own authority, your own numbers. In that case, you're buying your own tags. You're buying all of your own stickers. Your logbook is under your control. And that's what people think of as independent.
Right. But there's some things, again, broad strokes here, guys. Don't jump in my butt, both feet here. No control over your loads, lanes, or rates. Okay, so I'm on a mileage contract personally right now. So I don't control my rates. I don't. I have access to a load board that is supposed to eventually have varying rates of some sort of percentage program. Okay, great. So I guess that would be some minor control over there. I mean, there's no negotiation happening in the operation that I'm sitting in now, right? The lanes I absolutely control, because I only run where I want to run. So I do have that control. And I'm not forced dispatch. I actually know several contracts that you are absolutely required to be out 3 weeks at a time minimum, and you can't turn down loads. As a contractor, that sounds crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if it's what you want to do, okay, I power to you, but we're trying to explain the distinction between all these things, lack of access to your own customer base. I definitely don't have that. Limited freedom in scheduling or business decisions. I have absolute control over my scheduling and my business decisions. Consequences for every choice, right?
So I'm going to jump in here real quick, Charlie.
Yeah.
I'm going to say you do have access to your customer, because your customer is Swift.
Well, in that sense, yes, I have access to a single customer.
So it's the mindset thing, right? Who is your customer?
Right.
And I don't care if you're a company driver. Guess who your customer is? It's whoever you're employed by.
Yeah.
And that's part of we said we were going to bring caveats in here and go from big scope and narrow it down a little bit. And that's one of the points that I wanted to personally make is, if you're leased to a carrier, that carrier is your primary customer.
Right.
as you gain more independence and maybe you go out and get your own numbers, then you start talking about other things, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. But, you know, you're only as limited really as you decide to be.
Right.
Oh, we got a checklist. I like checklists.
Well, it's just highlighting the ones that, you know, we're just going over, you know, no control over your loads, lanes, rates, can't choose your own customers or negotiate contracts, limited flexibility in your scheduling or routes, relying entirely on one carrier for freight and income.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, no equity or resale value in your operation and stuck in survival mode with no plan to grow. Right.
Yeah, that last one's a sticking point for me.
Yeah, you know, feeling stuck and unable to build equity or long-term value, that's kind of a big thing to me. But again, I think that falls into the mindset, right? So someone with a different view or mindset than I might have could absolutely feel they're stuck and unable to build equity and long-term value at Swift.
Right.
Right. I don't feel stuck. I don't. I mean, I can up and go whenever the hell I want. I mean, I have a paid for truck. It ain't pretty, but she'll run.
Yeah.
And so I have built equity, and I know that I provide long-term value anywhere that I go. And my work ethic, my mindset, and my skills work on that long-term value, going both directions. So I mean, you know, the question to all of you guys is, you know, have you ever felt like you were just a glorified company driver? You know, what's your story behind that? And what was the mindset? Because I'd love to dip into what the mindset was behind that, you know. And I think that, you know, it's important to understand the mindset, because what's good for me or good for Jeff may not necessarily be good for you. Right. And your definition or your view or your mindset are going to determine where you are now and where you're trying to get to. I think. My tapping this one on all cylinders, Jeff?
I think so. Yeah.
Let's see. There's my question. I'm posing it out there in the chat. We'll put it up there. And so feel free, you know, whether you're watching this on the replay or live, you know, throw up your thoughts on that. And we'll try and star them, and we'll come back to them as we go. The difference between lease driver and a true business owner, Jeff, you want to dip into that one? Hi, Donna.
Now I'm distracted.
Right?
Sure. Yeah. So I do take a little bit of umbrage towards the wording here a little bit.
Right.
I didn't bring it up before, Charlie, because I wanted to have the fight live.
Oh, yeah, no.
The difference between being a lease driver and a true business owner. I think lease drivers are true business owners. You all know that.
Right.
It's just a different business model, but there's absolutely differences, like we were saying, between being a leased driver, contracted to a carrier, and being an independent carrier, right? Because a lot of people don't even think about this, Charlie. But if you decide to take the leap to get your own numbers, you decide to go that next level in business, what you're going to find is you're going to be able to choose your routes better. Your customers are your own, even if it's a load board. Like if you're working on DAT, you talk to the people that work the DAT load boards, right? And I know that's a dirty word around certain circles, but they're not just going on that load board and saying, oh, that one looks good. The successful ones, they're working for the same brokers over and over and over again.
Right.
Building those relationships. So that broker, then it becomes one of their customers. And they have 5, 10 brokers that they work with, depending on what lane they're in. Right. You're going to be a little bit easier to realize goals, your business goals, if you're out there with your own numbers, because you don't have a Swift or a Schneider or JB Hunt coming after you for that lease payment, and oh well, you can't buy that 2007 truck because we won't let it in our fleet.
Right.
You know, there's those limitations that you have that are legitimate limitations. Words.
Mouth failure.
Everybody loves it when Jeff has a mouth failure.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, financial literacy, man, that's something that a lot of us that have never gone out there in the big leagues, for lack of a better term, that financial literacy becomes not just a nice thing, but a necessity. You know, you gotta understand and control your profit margins. You've got to understand and control your cost per mile. When you're working with these customers, you need to be able to understand negotiation tactics to get the best rates. And here's the thing too. Now I have seen people at carriers do this, by the way, Charlie, but it's very, very uncommon to be able to build up a business and then sell it to someone else.
Right.
Very, very hard to do when your operation is all at Swift or Prime or Panther or whoever. You know, I know a gentleman that got half his fleet because he bought the contract from another guy that was retiring. It does happen, but it's rare. But when you take the leap into true business ownership, we were just talking to Josh about this a couple of weeks ago, Charlie.
Yep.
What's the valuation of your business? What could you sell it for if you needed to get out?
Right.
Or if you just, you know, true entrepreneurship, these guys are monsters about it. You ever listen to that guy on capitalism.com?
Right.
Guy, Charlie?
Yep.
Got a podcast that I highly recommend. It's just
Love that dude.
capitalist.com. This dude literally built a supplement business, 100% online, sold it for $10 million. That sounds like a pretty good payday, right?
Here comes the best part.
The company that bought it ran it into the ground, and he bought it back for $1.5 million. And his last thing he said about it on his podcast was that he already got it back up to $100,000 a month in sales.
That's awesome.
So you want to talk about extreme ownership, extreme entrepreneurship. Look at what you could sell your business for. That's the goal when you're truly independent. And it's not something that's very common when you're leased to a carrier. That's just the reality of it. So Charlie, I know that you and I have had this conversation before. What's the first thing you changed when you started thinking about your operation as a business instead of just I'll make a couple more pennies here and there if I buy a truck?
It was the first thing I did, what truly and honestly, was reevaluate my fuel purchasing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was my mindset. I could have gone either way there, right? But it was my mindset. It was the day that I stopped looking at my carrier as the world I was stuck with,
mm-hmm.
and realized they are my customer, and I changed the way that I looked at that. And when I did that, things started popping for me. I started understanding what control I truly had, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I started increasing profits with my changing fuel strategies. The way that I maintained my truck, the way that I purchased things for it, the way that I paid myself, all those things, and they were all tied into the mindset, really.
I'm glad you brought up the pay, Charlie.
Right.
Because that's something that in the stuff I'm working for you guys that are in the school group, which is our paid membership group. How do you pay yourself? Are you paying yourself a salary?
Right.
As an entrepreneur, you need to be paying yourself a salary. Now, in the trucking industry, because it's all up and down and stuff, I'm going to recommend a percentage of your profits.
Right.
Not having a set salary as a truck driver is probably not happening.
Right.
right? Unless you're a fleet owner and you're not driving anymore.
Yeah.
Then you want to set yourself up with a salary. But yeah, paying yourself. Every week I move money around to get paid, right? And I tell Donna what it is. And then she moves money around as she needs to. But that's it. That's what that pay that I give myself, that percentage of my profits. That's all there is, man. The rest goes into the savings account, because next week, what happens? You know, I just had a great week and I made $2,500. Great. Next
Right.
week's a $500 week. What am I going to do then
Yep.
if I don't have that savings in place? So pay yourself, have a savings plan, especially you guys that have the older trucks. Trust me, you're going to want to save for that transmission, for that in-frame, for this, for that. Still worth it to own the equipment, I think. But there are costs involved.
Right.
What do you think? Is that good?
Yeah, man.
Did I do good, boss?
You did good there, Ed. So, but
I was thinking more of the character Snafu in the old Army comics.
yeah, my bad. So basically what we want to dip into now is, you know, how to escape that trap. And part of that right up front is going to be your mindset.
Yeah.
You're hilarious, Wimpy. Hey, by the way, welcome, Wimpy. You were late. Whatever. That's cool. I know you got a life.
So Wimpy, I'm just going to come out and say it, Charlie. Wimpy, you know that my days are numbered in the truck.
Right?
My health is not good. And so I have followed my own advice and I have invested in other business opportunities. And you're seeing it right now. You know, I mean, what can I tell you? You know, not to make you feel bad. I don't know if you do feel bad, but you know, health is an issue. Health is an issue.
But so Sean, how do you pay percentage if that percentage of profits won't cover your household? And you're not going to like my answer. Operate better and reduce your household expenses. You know, if you can't meet that, then you can't meet that. I mean, it's just facts. And I know, you know, we go round and round about this stuff.
Yeah. Trust me, Charlie and I have had that conversation among ourselves over the years. You know, what do you need to cancel, Jeff, so that you can pay your mortgage?
You know, it's a thing from time to time, and it has to do with your business health. And look, you could do a lot of things really good and right, and something throws a wrench in there that sets you off that course, and now you're backtracking. Yeah. I mean, ideally, you know, let's say you have a day cab. Sucks when home expenses rise, but rates don't. Exactly.
It does.
But you know, I mean, what could you do about those? And I mean, are there things that, you know, you want to have and things that you need to have?
Yep.
And during the hardest times, what I found is I had to figure out, what do I need to have? Right. And can I do what I'm doing in that?
It sucks. Absolutely. But it's what, you know, Charlie, how often have we said, well, we do what we have to do?
Right.
Let's do what we have to do. And then here's the magic part of that whole thing.
Excuse me.
You do what you have to do, and then things get better and you can go back to your former life within a year or two, usually.
Right.
You know, you pivot. And, you know, I'll bring up real quick too, Drug Runner, because he and I are frenemies a bit. You know, we talk outside the show and stuff. Dude, what other opportunities can you think of for yourself?
Right.
You know, I'm not a big multi-level marketing guy, but, you know, I've met a few guys out here that are running those types of deals in their spare time. we're doing the coaching thing in our spare time. What else can you do to bring some money in? Eat
Right.
ramen, drive truck, repeat.
That's the hard times right there.
Dude, that was 2008, 2009 for me,
I
man.
think everybody's been there at least once. Daycab, you nailed that one.
Of course, ramen would literally kill me right now with the beaties.
Right. But yeah, so you need to evaluate your current setup. Are you profitable? Are you in control? Start building a plan if you haven't already. We've harped on this in the past. Transitioning slowly, or as they say, going independent, or I'm not sure a better way to word that, Jeff.
Say that again.
What as far as starting to build a plan, are you going to transition slowly or go independent, right?
Well, you could do both.
Yeah,
transition slowly into independence,
right. Really learn the business side of things, taxes, customers, cost per mile, equipment decisions. And we're going to say it, join a community, learn from people who are doing what you want to do, and who maybe have made some of the mistakes that you haven't quite made, and you can learn from them without making the mistake. But they've already made these leaps, and you can learn a lot from them. Chris Hamilton's a great example of that. The guy's been in trucking for I think it's 83 years this year, and only became a contractor in the last 12 months, basically, right? And he came to Jeff and I, and he leaned on me a little more at the beginning, and then we kind of introduced Jeff, and he started hitting both of us back and forth, and the guy's been profitable since day one.
Yeah.
He really and jumped into the community face first, man. He's asking questions, he's reading old posts, he's doing searches in the communities to find answers to the questions he has, and then finding out there's questions he didn't even know he had that he should be asking but hadn't asked.
Yeah.
And it's a weird transition, but it's an important transition that needs to happen. Sorry, brain. Evaluating your current setup, profitability and control, creating a transition plan, whether it's going to be a gradual or a full shift, right? That's what we talked about. Learning business essentials, taxes, customers, equipment, join a business-minded community, and then implement systems for long-term growth. That we haven't touched on yet, but not today. We've touched on it before, but what are some systems, Jeff, that you think people could build for themselves and or implement?
Boy, I feel like you put me on the spot on this one, man. I wasn't planning on that.
I know, right? We got to throw the wrenches at each other. It's fun.
Well, people misinterpret the term systems.
Right.
And all a system really is if A happens, then you do B, so that C is likely to happen. It's not 100%, of course, because we live in the real world, but if A happens, you're going to do B. So let's take a theoretical sort of, you lose a contract because the carrier didn't like an inspection you had.
Right.
What are you going to, what are you going to do about that? What's your next step? In this example, I'm just going to say it. You go to the guy that you're working with and you talk about it and find out what options you have. And if you're working for a decent person, if you're leased through a decent fleet owner, right? Maybe they find you another contract. Maybe like Charlie, let's say that Swift decides they've had enough of Charlie. Well, what's your B, Charlie? What are you going to do? Are you going to put your old truck back in service and maybe go try something else?
Absolutely, right.
Going to pivot a little harder into what you and I are doing?
Yeah.
There's a couple of B scenarios there that Charlie can do to bring some revenue in, right? So that's what we mean by systems. If you're out there, I see a lot on the Facebooks. The A is brokers suck.
Right.
Okay, well, what's your B? And nobody ever has a B. They don't have a system to deal with it. Now, unfortunately, with the market the way it is right now, for a lot of guys, B is, and I'm not judging anybody on this, by the way, B is taking that 88-cent freight out of Florida.
Right.
That's their solution. Now, what I'm interested in is, why is that your solution? Is it because you're trying to get up into Atlanta where rates are better? Or are you just going to take another low rate up there? Is that your MO? You're just low rate Charlie.
Right.
Right. A system is going to have a purpose to it. So if you're stuck in Florida and the only thing you can find getting out of the state is that 88-cent freight, maybe that does become your B. But the C is so you can get that $2.40 freight out of Atlanta.
Right.
That's a system. Everything else is a reaction to things. And what happens when we react instead of act, Charlie?
Bad things, man.
Bad things.
You're behind the 8 ball. It's coming at you, and you've got nowhere to go. You can move left, or you can move right, or you can run away. That's the problem with reactions.
Yep. You get into that fight or flight, and everything becomes emotional instead of logical.
Oh, the fourth option: sit there and let that thing smash you in the face. Sorry.
That's right. Yeah, you can do that.
I've seen it happen a lot. I mean, just real, Get a second wife and put her to work. I don't recommend that.
I don't recommend that. No.
No, not at all. I'm sorry. I'm just going back through some of the chat here real quick.
Okay.
Jason Caps. At least Jeff's not starting an OnlyFans as a backup.
Nobody wants to see this.
I'm paying for it. If you start one, I'm paying.
That hasn't come up in over a year.
Gosh.
Oh.
Make it your feet, Jeff.
Oh no.
Oh, you can put a camera on your glucose meter.
Okay.
Someone's paying for it. I don't know.
That would have been really fun the other day when it just said hi.
Oh, geez, Mike, that's crazy. Said,
oh, wow.
I just found out my whole family but me are moving overseas. I'm staying here to work for 5 more years. I still have 5 years before my retirement is up. The level to retire if the market doesn't kill it. Yeah. Been a tough week. I feel you, Mike. I'm going to share some of my week later in the second hour. You're not going to, no one's going to want to hear me. Everybody's going to click off, but I don't care. I'm going to do it anyhow, Jeff. You know what's going to happen.
Strangely, my near-death experience is less disturbing than yours.
Oh, look, it already put tears in my eyes. Oh, I'm mad at people.
So while we're still on this, I'm going to go back to something that Sean said. He said he's been an Herbalife distributor for years.
Right.
Sean, if you want to scale that thing, let me know. I'm just saying. I might have some stuff for you. Because that's part of being an entrepreneur, right? Looking for those opportunities. And people make fun of like Amway, Herbalife, stuff like that. I don't care, man. If you're making money, you're making money. Nothing scammy about it.
Right.
Hey, Ida.
So Sean says, and I think that this is a tough thing.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I feel like I have no other options. I'm trying to follow certain people's advice because my ideas have obviously been absolute crap lately. I don't believe your ideas are crap. I think that it's all part of the learning, man. And look, I don't care how old we get, Sean. We should be trying to learn every chance we get, right? You're not great at follow through on things that are suggested or recommended. And I'm not trying to bust you out, but
Yeah, but I'm
unless you're kind of open.
I'm gonna rescue him for a second here. What happened with him really was kind of BS. I'm just gonna put that out.
No, I get that.
He was blindsided by a thing that I'm not going to mention, but
Right.
he was blindsided, and I think the positive here, Sean, is that you and I both are working with a fleet owner that actually cares, which is nice. And I'm going to put it out there, rare.
Right.
You know, a guy that actually understands business, wants to keep making money with your truck, and found an opportunity.
Right.
So that's a positive I think that we could take away from this. I think we're in with some good people here. And that's part of it. That's part of this whole thing. You know, how much control do you have? A lot of it depends on the relationships you've built.
Right.
You know, like Charlie and his relationship with the people at Swift has allowed him. What do you work, Charlie? 4 or 5 days a week?
4 days typically.
4 days typically, and you make enough money to pay your bills typically.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow. All because you did something for somebody years ago and they remembered it. Basically, that's what we're talking about.
Relationships.
So you want to talk about, you know, how to escape the trap. That's one way to escape the trap, is build those relationships. You know, get in with people that have done what you want to do. You know somebody that went from, say, Swift to Landstar? We know a couple.
Yeah.
They would be good people to talk to about going to Landstar, because you know me and my fetish with Landstar. Everybody knows. I really do like that company. It is the next level of lease operation. Right? It's a step above a Swift, a JB Hunt, a Werner. You have more control there than you do at some of the other mega carriers.
Right.
And, you know, I have talked to people, don't know them personally, but I've talked to people who did this path. They started at Swift, went to Landstar, got their own authority. Step by step by step. Took them about 8 years.
Right.
All told. But that's how they got out of the trap. Because let's be real, a lot of people, whether it's justified or not, feel trapped in these lease deals.
Right. I just said truth, Jeff. Money is money. And this is great. And Ida, you can share what it is you sell. I think it's awesome and hilarious simultaneously. But she said, I sell what I feel is the most ridiculous thing ever, and she still makes a profit. Like,
I really hope that you out yourself on what you sell, because when I first heard about this, I was flabbergasted. I was like, wait, what? But there's a market, right? So
it's insane. And I had no idea. It is a fabulous product that she does. And here we go. Pest snails.
Yep.
Legitimate. She sells snails and makes a profit on them. And now has this, she says people feed them to their fish. They get online, they see her stuff, they buy it, you know, by certain amounts for dollar figures, and she ships them. And it's remarkable. And
it's one of those businesses I would have never thought of it.
And it was awesome because I remember she called me one night and she's like, I'm profitable. Holy crap. It was a great moment, I thought. It was awesome, man. And 1,990 days.
Wow.
And there's like no hard work behind. The snails reproduce. She has enough now where they're almost they are, last I heard,
self-replicating.
Yeah, self-replicating. Her overhead is a can of peas or beans or something like that, like once a week.
Yeah. Pretty wild, man.
I just don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
She is the what was it, Ida? The Duchess of Snails.
Yes.
I, I just yeah, but I mean, so let's jump into our fourth segment on this, Jeff. Um, I'll let you take over, but
Great.
Baroness, that's it, Baroness of Snails. Look, I came up with a stupid name. I can't remember it. Not stupid name. You know what I mean? Jeff, save me, fix me, make it happen.
So we've already kind of touched on this a little bit, Charlie, as
Right.
part of the overall conversation, but what does true independence really look like? And we do have a list of things to look at. Ownership of equipment and the decisions that you are able to make. Focus on profits, not just miles. So you know what I'm going to say at the end of this list, folks. Invest in relationships and direct freight. Commitment to learning and growth, and building equity and assets and an exit strategy.
Right.
That's what true independence looks like. Now, most of these things you can do while you're leased to a mega carrier.
Right.
You can have that long-term vision beyond the next load. That's mindset. That's literally something you can change within yourself in fairly short order. You focus on profits, not just miles. Again, whether you're in a mileage contract, you're in a percentage contract, or you're running your own numbers, doesn't matter. You should be focused on profits, not just miles. You should be looking at the loads from that perspective of, okay, what's my profit going to be in this load? Is it 45,000 pounds of paper going over the Rocky Mountains, so my fuel mileage is going to be really, really bad? Maybe that's not a great load.
Right.
Or maybe that's all there is out of Portland, Oregon, right?
Yeah.
So investing in relationships, again, don't have to be have your own numbers for that. Direct freight, you do. Going out and getting your own customers, building relationships with shippers, that you're going to require your own numbers for. You can't typically do that while you're leased to a carrier. Committed to learning and growth, another one. You don't need to have your own numbers to invest in an education. And these days, you could do that online.
Right.
I just went through a fairly extensive certification process myself. I did it during my 10-hour breaks while I was not driving. Right. Relationships is king, Craig. Building equity and assets and an exit strategy. Again, not necessary to have your own authority for this.
Right.
You can build equity in your truck. We actually, more people than you think, really, if you pay attention to the Facebooks, more people than you think buy their tractors out after a lease.
Right.
That's equity. If things just fell apart, you lose your medical card, like certain people might be having happen to them this week. You can sell the asset. It's worth money.
Right.
An exit strategy. Again, I'll use myself as the example. I have an exit strategy at this place that didn't even exist, Charlie, a year ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I'm faced with a real health crisis.
Right.
So some of this is stress-induced, for sure. But I have an exit strategy to get out of the trucking business and pivot over into something else. Again, as an entrepreneur, it's another business opportunity.
Right.
It's not going down to, my neighbor works at the military base. I could probably talk to him and see if they're hiring. I'm not doing that, though. I'm going into another business opportunity. And that's the hallmarks of an entrepreneur. What is your exit strategy at the end of this thing? How long do you want to be driving that truck for? And maybe your exit strategy isn't even getting out of the industry.
Right.
Maybe your exit strategy is just getting out of that cab because you're tired of driving after 3,500 years,
Okay.
right? So then you're building more equity in assets. You get that second truck, that third truck, that fifth truck, that eighth truck, and you're putting drivers in them. And you get to that magical point right around 8 trucks where you can step back and run the business from your house.
Right. You can work on your business
instead of in your business. And that's really the dream, isn't it, Charlie?
Absolutely.
Be able to work on a business and have other people do the labor of working in the business.
Right. So to you guys, what does independence mean to you guys? It's going to be different for most people. I mean, there's probably a lot of overlap amongst many, and we get that. But Jeff and I have kind of laid out that we feel we are independent in what we do, but that may not be the definition of some of you, and that's okay. We're not saying it's wrong or right. We're bringing it all back into mindset.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, one of the things to consider is the difference between a glorified company driver and a business owner. And this one, Charlie, is going to be uncomfortable for almost everyone.
Right.
And it needs to be. Do you have the intestinal fortitude to say, this contract sucks, I'm out, but not out of the industry? To go find another contract, to go get your own numbers, to do whatever it is to keep your truck running and profitable when you decide this contract is for the birds.
Right.
Now that's independence. If you can get that into your mind that, hey, I'm doing good now, but hey, I'm always looking for opportunities out there. And this contract, let's say they come out with a new ICOA at your carrier and you're like, this is for the birds. I'm not doing that. I'll put the big one out there that's affecting a lot of carriers with lease purchase programs right now. Right. I'm not putting that camera in my truck. You can take a flying leap. Okay, well, what's your plan? Are you going to stay in the industry? Are you going to start another business? Have you prepared for that inevitability of you leaving that carrier? So you either paid off a truck so you can just go wherever you want.
Right.
You have the money to put a down payment on a brand new Western Star that you always dreamed of, and then go wherever you want. That's true independence right there. It has nothing to do with whether you own your own authority or not. It's that mindset of, I'm making the decisions. That's what independence is to me. Craig has his definition up there. Independence to me is controlling my home time, my business model, not being forced to run. That's legit. I think that's pretty close to what a lot of people think of as independence, Charlie.
Right. I'm going to dip into some of these comments real quick, Jeff.
Yeah.
Craig said, independence to me is controlling my home time, my business model, and not being forced to run. Army Kane, my exit strategy is probably dying at this rate. Brian,
I love that. I love his Army Kane. I really like your avatar.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I like that.
Going back to Brian, knowing I could do better than that contract and finding something else is exactly what he did. And he's all the happier for it too.
Yep.
I want to go back to some of Sean's stuff here. There was quite a bit to unpack. I'm not going to dip into all of it, Sean.
Well, I can sum up Sean's life as far as since we've known him.
Right.
With one statement. His life is a game of chutes and ladders.
Yes. That's probably the most concise, accurate. Yeah. And we love you, Sean. Hey, TK. Yeah, Sean said, I keep being handed my exit strategy. I love you, man. Keep your chin up, bro. it's gonna do what it needs to do. You're gonna do what you need to do. Ida, in any situation, mindset is 100% key. I see so many that just give up and have no game plan. They don't even make a game plan to make good on their mandatory response or the monetary responsibilities to take home time, right? Like they come back and they're like, "Oh, I'm so far, I'm gonna have to quit." It's crazy. Sean said, "I'm throwing stuff out. Y'all catch it as you can. And my new contract is taking me to the worst possible place I need to be sent." I love you, man. Just saying.
Well, so I'm so Sean, though, what I'm hoping is that by you doing what you're doing, it opens up opportunity for other people as well.
Right.
So you might end up being the hero of an entire organization.
Right. So I'm going to throw out the weekly questions here. We're coming up on Vegas. I know, right? I was like, God, the torture for you, brother. First question, and these will be linked in the comments after the show is no longer live. I was a little late last week. I realized I forgot to do it after the show. It was funny. The first one's going to be, and please go in after the show, you guys, and if you have some input on these questions, that would be awesome. It really helps us with the algorithm, and it helps keep that conversation going. Are you really in control of your trucking business? Right. Let me get this next one. Control C. I'm like cutting and pasting off of a sheet I have. CV. What's one thing you wish you knew before signing your lease? There's a lot of those.
Oh yeah.
I can think of a billion of them. I think, out of my own head, which, you and I try to share with people all along. And the last one, what does being a real business owner mean to you? Right. So I'm going to put that one on the screen. So it's there. Again, what's one thing you wish you knew before signing your lease? And the third one is, what does being a real business owner mean to you? Yeah. Sean said the potential is there for sure. I'm truly impressed, Jeff. Just apprehensive. I've spoken to owner a few times. He's very reachable and knowledgeable. Seems to truly care. So yeah, I mean that's good positive stuff, Sean. And it's gonna be hard. You know that. Yeah. But we make decisions, we do things, and sometimes they're great, and sometimes they bite us in the butt. That's life. That's life. I'm not gonna sing. Sorry. I'm gonna do this. You know what? If you're ready to stop driving someone else's business and start building your own, join us inside the Road Warrior Entrepreneurs community at www.rwedrive.com. This is what I get for trying to multitask. And let's help you take back control. With that being said, we'll be right back. You're either running your business like an owner or like an employee. And if you're stuck in that employee mindset, you're leaving money on the table. Company drivers wait for direction. Business owners create opportunities. Company drivers chase miles and just drive. Business owners chase profits and know their numbers. Want to run a real business? Start tracking your numbers. Know your cost per mile and start saying no to bad loads. Drop "I run a business" in the comments if you're done thinking like an employee. If you want to take this mindset shift further, join the Road Warrior Entrepreneurs community at www.rwedrive.com, where we have profit boosting strategies, coaching calls, and real road warriors winning together. Yeah. So, if you guys have questions or comments or further on the stuff we've been talking about, absolutely, share that in the chat, and we will dip in that. Trucker Tim, what a true business owner means to me is one simple word: freedom. Sorry, I had to really, man, I'm with you. And again, freedom to each of us is something different. I got a sneeze building up back behind this thing. Oh, and it's like torturing me. It's like it's coming. No, I'm not. It's and then it goes away. But if there's anything else you guys want to dip into, by all means, please share that. Let's see. Earlier, Army Kane said FedEx ground contractors are constantly selling off their routes and businesses. Yep. Yeah, I mean it's real. Sorry, I'm clicking around the screens. To your question, no, I don't feel like I'm in control of my business. I feel like this is Sean. No, I don't feel I'm in control of my business. I feel like a strong participant, but not in control. Skipping question 2, but owning a business to me means being able to be free. Freedom to relax and not be tied to the rat race just to get by. No, and those are legitimate, Sean. Then the question starts becoming, how do we get to those places, right? And that's kind of what we try to touch on a little bit of, or a lot, every week, right?
Well, I would also put in there what freedom actually means,
right?
Because the fact is, as a business owner, your time is going to be spent a lot more on your business than someone working 9 to 5 at Walmart.
Right.
But the freedom that I experience from being a business owner is the freedom of choice. I have more choices than an employee does because I own the business. If I say I'm going to take an extra week off to spend with the family because that's just what I want to do, I can do that without getting fired.
Right.
Now, there's consequences to that, financial consequences.
Always.
But as the business owner, I can make that determination. Is it worth more? Is my time worth more at the house right now, or is it worth more out there running loads?
Right.
And I get to make that choice, not somebody else.
Yep.
And that's what I love about it.
Oh, and I agree 100%. I've always said, I don't feel like I'm trapped where I'm at.
Right.
Are there times where I'm pissy? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jeff can tell you, I go off on some things pretty regular. Yeah, Ida, what are you willing to do to get that freedom? You have to put in the work to reap the rewards. Absolutely. Look, we've all seen it. I mean, those of us who are paying attention to brand new contractors coming in, right? And even some long-term existing guys, they think, oh, well, I'm paying for the lease, I should be successful. I'm paying for the truck, I should just make lots of money. And with no business experience and no plan, no roadmap, none of these things, how do you think that, rainbows and unicorns are just going to fly out of your butt? Come on, man. As much as we want to think that that's possible, one in a billion, right?
Oh, you're making it hard for me, Charlie.
Yeah. Sean said, damn you, Ida, quit making sense, right? Sean, you and I are a lot alike in a couple of ways, and I'm going to share this. We get to a point financially and we think, oh, we're great and we're going to live on that. And it's always going to be that, right? I was like this a lot years ago. I mean a lot. And, I had no debt. I had everything. And I started making a bunch of money and I had all this, expendable income. And I just started doing silly things with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I financed a couple things and I financed a couple more things and I grabbed a credit card and all paid off every month. And then something happened. Crap. Now I can't meet those obligations. I have to meet them somehow, but I can't. Right? Yeah, no, Sean, too hard-headed to give up what I got and losing traction to keep it. Quicksand. That's exactly what that is.
Mhm.
You're
Well,
aware.
I'll put in there, Sean. I get the not wanting to lose what you have, but if you get to a point to where the choice is no longer yours,
Right.
especially when you have things financed, the bank just says, "Okay, well, we need that thing back,"
Yeah.
and that sucks. I've had that happen before.
I hear an awful lot of stories about people who've absolutely been wiped the hell out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the biggest blessing in their life ever.
Well, I will mention probably the one of the most famous and extreme examples, Mr. Dave Ramsey.
Right.
The man built an empire of cards, basically, in the real estate business, went bankrupt and lost everything. Went from a millionaire to nothing overnight. And now he is probably the most successful financial advisor in the United States.
Right.
Certainly the most famous. He has more people listening to his radio show every day than anybody. I think he gets more listeners than Rush Limbaugh did when he was on the air at this point. And now he's got more money than he can shake a stick at.
Yeah.
And he credits his bankruptcy with that because it forced him to go back to, what one of his taglines is to do what his grandma always said. Stay out of debt, all that stuff, and that's what he teaches. And that's what he's famous for. Without that bankruptcy, he probably wouldn't know who he was.
Right. Yeah. Sean said I was and scratched back to where I am now. Dave Ramsey helped me get started. Now I'm falling back down the hill. I was rock bottom. Well, it isn't, again, that's life, right? We fall back. Sometimes we take a step back. I mean, you could look at for any of you who may be in certain types of programs, right? And I'm talking about, NA, AA, things like that, you get in, you start climbing, and sometimes you got a setback.
Yep.
And sometimes you hit rock bottom again. But what do? Once you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah,
right?
what's interesting about rock bottom, Charlie, is that it's different for everyone.
Right.
Someone might, as terrible as it is, someone might lose a marriage because of something.
Right.
And that's rock bottom. Someone else is in ICU for a month in a coma before they hit rock bottom. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Ida, this is great. Starting over sucks, but it's absolutely amazing to achieve all those new things. I never look at a loss as a negative thing. It's a lesson learned, a new opportunity to do better. Abso-freaking-lutely. But that's mindset. And I'm willing to bet, Ida, that you didn't always have that mindset. It's something you grew into, right? I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, look, again, some people got rainbows and unicorns. I'm just saying, and that's fine.
Some people have
actually work.
Some people have other things, Charlie.
Right? Oh, Jesus. I truly hope there's someone here tonight who's getting something out of my participation tonight. I believe that every story told, Sean, is helping someone somewhere.
Yep.
You guys can help us out with that. And if you're not subscribed, or if you are subscribed, you could always, Jim Wall, damn it, I forgot to call you. I didn't forget, but you'll understand my week soon. Good to see you, by the way, buddy. Share out the channel, share out these videos, right? Share them in your social, email them to someone and say, hey man,
check this
maybe
out.
this will help you out.
Yeah, I agree with Ida here. Jim says, how old is too old to start over? I feel like giving up so often. And Ida responds, and I agree with her. You're never too old till you're dead, Jim.
And debt is
That
not an option to me.
and that's something that I've taught my kids. You know, the game's not over till you're in the ground. There's always something else you can do until that point.
Right? All right. Weird transition. You ready for this, Jeff?
No, but you're going to say it anyway.
Why the hell have none of you ever talked about a hemorrhoid? 53 years old. I have never experienced a hemorrhoid until this week. And as embarrassing as it is, I'm going to share my journey this week, which was extremely unpleasant. At the end of my first day this week, I noticed a little discomfort from my tail, right? And I was like, what the hell is that? And I kind of reached down there through my jeans. I was like, what is that thing? I'm actually making the motion right now. And there was a lump. Okay. And I was like, what the hell is that? To the point to where I had to talk to the woman of my life who loves me way too much. And you guys are going to understand how much she loves me. And it's way too much. I'm like, will you touch this thing and tell me what the hell you think that is? It was the size of a pea. See, but I'm going to question. I'm going to argue that on there, Sean. She touched it. She's like, oh my God, that's crazy. In the next 24 hours, that pea doubled in size. In the next 24 hours, it doubled in size of the double in size. Last night on my way home or back to the DC, this damn thing exploded. And I felt like a 12 or 13-year-old girl and ruined a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Use your imagination.
No.
You
know, I've got to eat dinner after this show.
Tremendous relief when that happened. But seriously, so then I start like calling people. Craig, you pushed back. There was no way, bro. I'm telling no way, and no, was not rock hard. Any no moving. Every time I coughed, my eye would go cross. I'm just saying, every bump and crack in the road. So I started calling people, and I'm like, hey. Yeah, originally I told Rosie, we're never talking about this with anybody. And what did I do? Next day I started calling people. I'm like, hey, you ever had a hemorrhoid? And they're like, well, yeah, duh. I'm like, what the hell you mean, duh? Why is no one ever talking? Rosie told me, yeah, it's happened. What? I mean, I knew during pregnancy, and that's typically what I associate that to because I don't understand why, but apparently during pregnancy, hemorrhoids are a normal thing. Well, I called trucker people and I called, people that I've known for a really long time. And one guy's like, yeah, man, in my 30 years of trucking, I used to get them quite frequently from the damn seat, right? I'm like, why did I not know this? So I think we need to talk about this, people, because if any of you have experienced this, I would like to know that I'm not alone. I already know I'm not alone, so whatever. And you can pick on me all you want, and that's fine. I'm not reading chat yet. I know there's a bunch of stuff going in there. Probably got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. They're like, change the subject, bro, but whatever. Oh my God.
I'm just going to have a care package for you when you get back.
Wait, I've got something. I'm going to share something. I got to look it up to make sure I say the right word. Feel free to say anything you'd like here, Jeff.
Yeah, okay. TK, we don't know of a different fuel gauges app right now. We are aware of the issue with it. With the current app, we're going to see if we can't come up with something. No promises, though. Why am I smiling so big, Drug Runner? Because it's funny. That's why. I'm laughing at Charlie's expense right now. Trucker Tim, I deal with hemorrhoids all the time, unfortunately. So there's another one.
So Balneol, Balneol. This is the line of products that was recommended to me by someone that I know with 30 years of trucking. Said that he tried all the preparation H's and all that other stuff, and none of it would take care of the problem. He said there's nothing like a nice warm bath when you can get to it, and these Balneol products.
Mm-hmm.
And so look, I tried the preparation H with the lidocaine and all that. Let me tell you, it did nothing for me.
Yeah.
And this damn thing exploded. It exploded. It was to the point I was like, babe, I can't drive anymore. All I can do is lay down and cry. And oh God, I'm going. Do you know? God, I'm biting myself. I had to use a max pad. It's too much. That's too much. First, I had paper towels. They clump. Just saying. Whatever. I love you guys. Jeff, you can feel free to change this at any time and just stop me from talking, because now I'm going to places that
I'm just going to let you go, bro.
You're a terrible man. I love you, but you're a terrible person. And I get it, because I would be like, what else, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, nobody ever talks about this, Tim. Like, no, I get it. It's embarrassing. I was extremely embarrassed. Like, it hurt my brain, but it wasn't my brain that was hurting most. You get me? Which is why I asked Rosie, I'm like, what is happening to me?
Yeah, so everybody knows I'm one of the people he called, and I did laugh when he said it then too.
Yeah, it's okay.
And I get your sentiment, Drug Runner, that I'm supposed to be his bro and all that stuff, but we were also both in the Army. So that has a different definition for us.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, Monkey Butt Powder wants to sponsor the show. Bring it on.
Yeah, hey, there you go. We'll take it.
Balneol, reach out, people. Just saying, because I know an awful lot of people that don't talk about this. Apparently, they knew about the problem, but I don't ever hear about any solutions, and I don't hear about people talking about the problem. And I figure if there's a problem that I'm having, I'm going to share that problem. Much to my
I mean, you know,
detriment.
With Ida on the show, I hesitate to say what happened to me this week, but
do it.
So my blood sugar like really spiked hard.
Wait. Let me start by saying Jeff says, I think I passed out last night.
Yeah.
I think I passed out last night. That's how he started this.
Yeah. Yeah. So my blood sugar topped off at 511, according to my glucose meter. And I'm talking to different people about this. I'm Googling it. And apparently I should have called 911. Apparently, Charlie.
Yeah.
And, you know, our coach, Josh, I was talking to him about it because he's diabetic as well. And he's like, bro, you really need to talk to your doctor about that. And I do have a diabetic appointment tomorrow where we're going to discuss my future. So it's up in the air, bro. I could literally lose my card this week. We'll see. If nothing else, we're thinking that maybe insulin might be in my future.
For real, Ida. Coma territory.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I found out. So what's weird is I've never had this happen before, Ida. And it is a little scary, you know. Once I did the research into it, I'm like, holy crap, that's coma territory. You know, I've never even approached that kind of blood sugar before.
It was or probably not in part due to, but wholly due to a full week
Of not
of
having my keto stuff.
right.
Yeah, I
You
ran
can
out
tell
of
me to
keto
shut up
food.
anytime, Jeff. I get it.
I ran out of my keto food about a week ago and started eating truck stop food. And then this happened. So, you know, watch your health is my point, guys. You know, um, I probably got diagnosed, Charlie, a little late
Right.
because of the way they do it on the DOT test. They take the urine analysis, right? Well, I typically don't eat anything before I go in for a DOT physical. So there was no sugar in my urine
Right.
until there was. And then they're like, holy cow, you need to go get tested. And I'm like, holy cow, okay. So, you know, all the stuff I've read about diabetes, the high blood pressure is another one that'll get you as a driver. And these things are no joke, you know. The earlier you get a diagnosis, the better, so that you can start changing your diet, get on the meds you need to get on, whatever
Right.
it is you need to do. And you know what's crazy, Charlie, is I was able to control my diabetes just through diet for years and years. And what is it? What I tell you, probably about a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
I just the diet's not working anymore.
Right.
So it's getting worse. No matter what I do. And you know, it's genetic in my case. You know, the only person in my entire family and extended family line that doesn't have diabetes is my one sister. Everybody else, both sides of the family, diabetic, you know. So that's what's going on with me. A little anticlimactic after Charlie's hemorrhoid story, but yeah.
Look, both are extremely important. I feel. I'm just saying. But look, I can sit down right now and I'm not dying. I'm not crying.
Right.
Because yesterday I could not have sat here.
Well, that's a positive then.
Oh my
Yeah, I
God.
just says she's got medically low blood pressure, which is just as bad. Nothing to play with. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's especially for us drivers, those of us that are in the truck, you know me, Charlie. I'm usually out for over a month at a time.
Right.
That's just my thing. I would prefer to go out for a month, maybe sometimes two, maybe, to be able to take a month off.
Right.
That's the way I prefer to do things. And while I'm out there, you know, as long as I've got my big freezer full of my meat and all that stuff, I'm good. But when I run out, you know, where you're supposed to go, it's harder and harder to get to a Walmart.
Right.
I mean, I guess you could do the Walmart Plus thing
Yeah.
and have them deliver it to the truck stop. I guess that's an option.
I did that in Texas once. That was awesome, actually.
Did you?
Delivered to my truck.
I think that might be a show idea, Charlie. How do we eat healthy while we're on the road?
Right.
You know, it's a thing. And you know, I was talking again to Josh about this, you know.
Hey, Tracy.
Tracy's been out since last November. 6 months. Wow. That's dedication right there.
Right. That's hardcore, bro.
I'd be interested to know how much home time do you take when you do go home? Do you go on a big vacation? What do you do? That's fascinating to me.
I actually used to talk to, I can't remember who it was. There was a couple people that I talked to that said that they would go out 6 months solid.
Mm-hmm.
And they were off, 6 months solid. They made everything they needed for the rest of the year in that first 6 months, and then they took the other half off. And I was like, I don't think I could do 6 months straight, honestly. Oh my God.
Yeah. I met two brothers from Anchorage, Alaska once that worked for Swift. And they did that 6 months out, no, 5 months out. And then they would go home for a month. And then 5 months out, and they would go home for a month. That's what they did. Yeah, Walmart delivery.
Instacart.
Yeah. TK, I go home just to see the doctor. Yep. Yeah, I mean it's a thing, and I think it's a challenge because, like I say, I was talking to Josh about this again. I can get a meal at, say, Carl's Jr. that has enough calories to last me the day
Right.
for $12, or I can get a salad that's about 600 calories for $12.
Right.
It's set up to lose, man.
Yeah.
So, what I normally do, though, Charlie, is I've got that big Iceco freezer that I keep in the truck.
You're right.
And it literally will hold about a month's worth of frozen meat and vegetables. And I just cook on the truck mostly. This time I didn't have as much stuff with me, though. So it's a thing.
Yeah,
You
no
gotta
doubt.
watch that health.
Yeah, Tracy just said, just got Walmart delivery at Greer Saturday. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was funny because the time in Texas, I was actually, if I remember right, I was parked next to a movie theater that Rosie and I had just watched a movie at, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna be here overnight anyhow. And the theater was cool with me being there. It was kind of out back behind everything, and they were like, fine. And I put in that address and then added the description, the notes, big ugly red truck with Swift trailer parked behind the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, they pulled up, knock, knock, knock. Here you go. I was like, whoop. Got my steaks and my potatoes. And
have you noticed, Charlie, that the Loves are starting to paint numbers on the parking spots?
Yep.
I actually asked one of the managers at a Loves why they were doing that, and it's because of these delivery services.
Nice.
They have no plans to charge for parking, guys. Loves does not have those plans. What it is you can say, I'm at this Loves, parking spot 23.
Right.
And so the delivery people know, boom, there you go. It does a couple things. The manager loved it because he said it helps us get our food because you can't get to a Walmart anymore.
Right.
And it makes it so that minivan with that single mom in it isn't just wandering around the parking lot with all these big trucks.
Right.
They know which spot to go to. They're in and they're out.
That's
so he loved it.
Absolute smarts right there. Sean said, I live in Dallas, Texas area, and my dedicated customers in Reno, Nevada, and I have to be available at last minute notice to load. I think I'm going to almost have to be out extended time. And I know that's going to suck for you, Sean. I get it.
Not what you're used to.
But it's a means to an end, let's hope, right? Another step, right? Yep. You feel like you got knocked down, but maybe this is the ladder or the stairs in the right direction.
Well, I can tell you, here's how I would play it, Sean. I would do the best job I can for that account.
Right.
And maybe that builds a relationship for the fleet owner with that carrier, and maybe they get you something closer to home.
Right. A better opportunity popping up.
Because this is for those of you that are kind of can read between the lines here, we're working with a carrier that the fleet owner hasn't worked with before. So it's a brand new relationship for everyone. So I think there's an opportunity here to bring a lot of value to the fleet owner, to the new carrier, and to future drivers that might want to work with this fleet owner.
Right. Yeah, it's a good call, Tracy. Plan your delivery during your 10-hour break.
Yep.
Hopefully right at the beginning or right at the end, huh? Just saying. Middle might suck, but yeah, no, I think, yeah, Sean, I think it's definitely. Here comes that sneeze I was telling you about. Hold on. Nice. I actually hit the mute button. That was awesome.
You actually got it, huh?
I did. Anyhow, half the time I miss it. I'm like, hope it's a salary type load, whether I pull 1 or 15 loads a week, pay some. Yeah.
I could say when you get a hold of the ICOA, let me know.
Right.
We'll go over it.
I feel like I missed a bunch. If there's something that you wanted to talk about and we didn't hit it, please just do me a favor and retype it. Because going back through chat could take me all night. Let's just be real. God, my glasses, dude. They're not right. Are they dirty? Oh, that's probably not helping.
Hey, we could talk about the bags under our eyes because we were both complaining.
Oh my God.
We're getting old or something.
It's not. Wait, I got to zoom in. Hang on. Yeah, see, they're not bad right now.
Not bad right now.
But in the morning, wait, dude. Remember I was telling you I have 2 sets of bags? So this will split here, and I'll end up with another set that comes out like this.
Wow.
Bro. I saw it in the morning, and I was like, holy hell.
So you've got face cleavage in the morning.
Man, something. Luckily, my glasses kind of puts a lot of it away sometimes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was reading chat again.
Yeah, I just got some good advice too. If it's a new account, never say no. Make yourself non-replaceable, then ask for what you want and need.
Absolutely. That look, to this day, I can tell you, if I'm out working, I don't read the loads they send me. Sometimes they bite me in the butt, but I'm moving, right? I just accept it and I read it later. It's kind of funny. So that's not to say I don't bitch about it. Not to the customer, typically. I separate Ida from customer and friend all the time. She has to balance that. It sucks for her, I'm sure. So sometimes I call her. I'm like, this bull. Ooh, I stopped myself. Wow, you should be impressed. And I'm like, this damn planner sent me this stupid load, and I don't think they understand how I work. Turns out she was a planner on it, whatever. And like, yeah, that jack wagon, right? It's funny, but I just accept it. And I mean, honestly, it's done me well. I mean, I try to put some, yeah, all three of me. I try to put in input where I can, as far as, my needs, my desires, emotional outbursts, such, without being overly dramatic at times. Sometimes I don't do that part well. But I just work within the limits that I have, right? I mean, especially when I'm going to somewhere new. I was in tremendous pain this week, and I had one of our customers. We were talking after my delivery was done. That was a great face. Oh my God. Oh my God. Whatever that is, fight it some more because I missed it, damn it. Oh my God. You look like you were having a seizure, bro.
Trying not to sneeze.
That was great. But so I was talking with this receiver after we were all said and done, and it was great, and I'm like, they're like, you look just a little off from normal. I'm like, oh, you have no idea. And I explained the pain, not what caused the pain. I explained the level of pain and the level of sleepiness, and the faces are great today, Jeff. God. Just sneeze, bro. Just let it happen. Like prison. What? And they're like, that's crazy because you're one of not many who can come in with all this crap going on and you don't throw it at us. And like deliveries were not working properly on top of the pain, and oh man, it was just something else. And I'm like, look, it's not my job is to service my customer, my customer's customer, and not drop all my baggage on their head. I honestly, even in my worst days, try to get them to laugh Even when I can tell you today this week hurt me physically to laugh because of what we already talked about. Because I had no idea all those things were attached. That was a weird gesture. Yeah, so it was weird. And I was like, well, good. I did my job. And they're like, and they thanked me for it. And they're like, I hope you feel better next week. And I'm like, I'm not coming back to work next week. I'm done. I am going to take a week off. So I'm not coming back till, I don't know if I'd ever even read my text or not, because I texted her. I'm not going back till at least the 23rd. Rosie's feeling a little under the weather. I got her a present. She liked it. People think I'm a nerd. Max Velocity. Max Velocity, the weather guy. I know Craig knows. I know quite a few people know. Hit 1 million subscribers here recently, and he had some promotional items, shirts, hats, things like that. And I bought Rosie one of his 1 million subscriber limited edition pink shirts.
Oh, nice.
And it arrived Monday night in the mail. And I'm like, I bought you a present. I bought you a present. And she's like, oh, what is it? I'm like, you don't get to know till we get home, because I made sure to tell her early in the day, Monday. That's how I do. And when we got home, I brought it to her, and she opened it up, and she's like, what is it? What? Oh, she nerded out with me too. She was going to walk in here and wearing it and just like be like, look at me. I've got 1 million subscriber shirt. And yeah, she didn't do that, but that's okay. I bought for myself, and I don't wear hats, but I bought one of his signed hats because I like that kid. Nice. And so that's not here yet. It should be here in the next couple of days, but I'm pretty excited about that. There was a lot of chat here, Jeff. What did I miss?
I don't know. I'm having a hard time seeing today.
Right.
Sean's got some stuff for me, so he's probably going to call me later.
Never say no. I should tell a new dedicated I'm the best driver they ever had. Then prove it. Absolutely, Mike.
Well, that's how I was able to stay on Surge for so long at Opelika, dude.
Right?
I literally just ran my hours out every day, and they were amazed by that. And so, for those of you that don't know, Surge opportunities at Swift. So typically a dedicated account will make less per mile for the privilege of being there. When you're doing Surge, you're helping them out, so you maintain your over-the-road pay. And they kept me for, 3.5 months at one point?
Right.
Simply because I was willing to run my hours out and didn't complain about the loads they were giving me. I mean, it wasn't that hard.
Ida, look, I get special Ida, but only when I prompt her. Right? Ida said that part is important. It never matters how I feel. I only ever show my drivers what they need to see. And I some people will read that wrong, take that wrong. We are the start of their day. You set the pace for the remainder of the day. Absolutely. I have to, Ida's like the boss person, right? And we all need someone we can talk to about certain things, whether it's work related or personal or mental health or what have you, right? So every now and again, I call Ida off the, hey, how you doing? I talked about it last week, right? The guy peeing on his truck. But more importantly, I talked to the guy working at the rest area. I asked him, hey, how you doing? And he wanted to talk. So I sat down and we talked.
Yeah.
Right. If you're asking, be willing to hear it. Don't just throw it out there nonchalant and then ignore them, because that sucks. Nobody needs that. Be genuine. Yeah, I don't know where else I'm going with that. Ida, I thought about buying you one, and honestly, I set a limit on his site of $100, and I couldn't. It was either you got a shirt or I got a hat. I got a hat. I'm sorry. I love you. I had to go selfish for a minute because I really wanted to, and I don't even wear hats. That's the thing. Right? But I like hats. And so I bought the hat. I apologize. Tell you what, I'll give you my sticker. I did buy 2 stickers. I will give you a Max sticker. It's a little 2x2 foil million subscriber. Just saying. Lisa got a brand new trailer.
Nice.
Sean said now he'll call you tomorrow, Jeff.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's definitely been an interesting week. Jeff had I'm sharing. I don't think we haven't talked about it, but he had a rough run getting home this time again, and that sucked.
Yeah.
Dude spent 7 days in daggone Atlanta of all places, which is not a place you should have to sit.
No, they got plenty of freight there, you'd think.
You know, he did have a conversation with his people, and I'm going to call him out a little bit on this. I believe he did not express the problem well enough, early enough to his leadership.
You're probably right.
Right. And mind you, I did not coach him to do that because I'm an idiot sometimes too. Right. I made an assumption. I thought he was communicating well with them on that. And when he did talk to him about it, they're like, bro, why did you not tell us?
Yeah.
It's a kick in the nuts.
Well, to be fair, Charlie, you know what I do when I'm not driving.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he finds other things.
I got other things that I do.
Right.
And then I kind of lose track if I'm not careful. I think that's part of what happened.
Right.
But yeah. But, you know, it's like I've been saying a couple of weeks now, the opportunity at Panther's really good. There's a couple of good runs that I know of that are open right now. But you got to be a team, and you got to live Texas or East. Because those are the 2 things against me at Panther is I'm a solo guy trying to run expedited freight. So while I'm in market, I do really well. Like Charlie, wouldn't you say I do really well when I'm in market?
Absolutely.
But trying to get home because they don't have freight coming out this way sucks. And I'm a solo guy. So I do lose out on some of the better runs because of that. But yeah, it's an interesting operation. Definitely different than a Swift. Expedited is completely different animal than regular line haul dry van freight.
Right. Oh, that's a good one, Sean. One perk to this new gig is he'll be issued a specialized trailer and it will never swap. That's
great.
Look, you know, just keep up on your maintenance and stuff. Make sure their stuff is solid. And yeah, I love Max. Finding his channel is one of the best things. It offers me the opportunity to have advanced notice to keep y'all safe. Dude, like, we're constantly talking about max velocity because, you know, particularly in the Southeast or the plains and all that with the tornadoes and all that nonsense. And this year, the tornadoes in the Southeast have been off the freaking hook. And I can run Max in the background. Max Velocity is who we're talking about on YouTube's. And I can listen to his reports, and he tells you where these tornadoes are starting to spin up. Right. And you can, I made driving decisions based on his reports that absolutely made me feel much safer because I made those decisions.
Well, he was the one that made me want to get out of your area during that one hurricane. You recommended that I watch him, and I'm like, okay, they're saying there's no loads right now because everybody's closed. I'm heading to freaking Atlanta.
Yep. Right.
And it took me from, help me out, Charlie, from where you live.
Yep.
Down
in
there,
Florida.
In Central Florida to Atlanta. Took me 3 days.
Yeah.
Because the traffic was just that bad. It was crazy. But I got out before the storm hit, so I was happy about that. And then I was watching the coverage that he does. And so you guys should check him out. Check out his channel, Max Velocity, because This kid, he hasn't graduated college yet, I don't think, Charlie, or has he graduated since we last
No,
talked about
he's like within a week or two, a couple weeks.
And he's got this huge YouTube channel, huge following. He's really good at what he does. And, you know, I think that any news station would be a fool not to hire him. And I think he would be a fool to go to work for somebody other than himself. That's how good he is.
Right.
Yeah, Trucker Tim. So he's asking, Jeff, are your kids too young for Donna to become a driver and y'all team for Panther? I can't even get her in a straight truck, let alone a tractor trailer. And yes, they're too young. They're still we have one in middle school and the other two are in high school. We have one graduating here in, what is it, May? We have one graduating in May, and she's going to go down to Southern Utah to college. So we're happy about that. Tracy Samso, you guys live near Knoxville, huh?
Yeah, that's 391 miles. That's probably
In Nashville?
yeah.
From,
Nashville to Memphis.
Memphis. Yeah. Yeah, the really good one that I know of, you have to live within 100 miles of Memphis. And that's a 5-day gig going from Memphis up to the Northeast and back. And it's Monday through Friday only.
Right.
But they're
Nashville's 180.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, for that one, they got to live within 100 miles of Memphis because it's a pickup Monday and you're done Friday type of thing. But hey, you know, the small fleet owner that Sean and I work with, his office is in Knoxville. Dude, I could get you the address if you PM me, and you can go over there and talk to them, see what they do have.
Right. Good Lord.
Yeah, thanks, Trucker Tim. Congrats to the graduate.
Wimpy drive 40 the other day, one lane from Knoxville to North Carolina.
Ouch.
Oof. That's a lot of construction equipment, right? I imagine.
Yeah.
Sorry, going through chat, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up at the same time. I try.
Yeah.
We're getting closer to the end here, guys. If there's something you want us to touch on, please let us know. Throw it up there. Again, you know, if we threw it in the chat and you want us to touch on it and we missed it, I'm sorry. Throw it up there again. We'll dip into it. Otherwise, we got about 10 or 15 to go.
Yeah, 15.
And yeah, I shared way too much. You're welcome. Hope you I can already see a short coming out of that, or God knows.
Well, Donna's in charge of the shorts, so if she doesn't like it, it's not going to make it.
Well, maybe I'm safe. I don't know. Hey, you know, I see, that's the thing, is she may go, ha, 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 this is great. I'm going to get them.
Or she might just say, you know, hemorrhoids is an important subject that nobody talks about.
Right? Don't encourage it. I'm just saying. I honestly, I'm baffled. Ida, I miss the silence of driving, but there's so many things that I don't miss, right?
Oh, Lisa says she apologizes for her off-color joke earlier.
She
wasn't paying attention, Lisa, so don't worry about it. We didn't actually vocalize it.
Right. We did not repeat it. Oh, man.
Ida wants Donna to find a really good short of Charlie's Little Issue.
Was Donna here for that?
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
She's right here. She's cooking dinner right now.
Have I told you how much I love you, Donna? You're an amazing lady. You are so fair and just, awesome. And I wish I was a better person. Is it working?
Yeah, well,
Is it working?
maybe.
Damn you.
She's entertained, if nothing else.
Well, that's fair. Hey, look, if nothing else, if I made her giggle, I'm good. Run scared, Charlie. For real. Sorry. Better him the less tired. Oh, we've done that one a lot. Yeah. Look, I love tires. I have neglected mine because I'm at a point. Tomorrow I'm going to get tires. I have to go get some tires tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, Charlie, the Blitz this year, which is in a couple weeks here, 3 weeks now. We're 3 weeks away from it, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Tires and brakes is what they're focusing on. So make sure you guys, if you're an owner operator, TA usually does that free
the Blitz inspection, yeah.
Now, of course, if there's anything wrong, they want you to pay them to fix it.
Right.
I'll be prepared for that. But I've been out here for 20 years and I've never shut down because of a Blitz. And I've never been pulled in, knock on wood. So I don't know. I just figure that I just figure if I'm doing my job and I'm doing my pre-trips like I should be, I don't have anything to worry about. So
Tim, thank you. I remember seeing that and I glossed over it. You're right. Earlier in reference to getting too old and giving up, Tim brought up that Dr. Jerry Falwell used to talk about fourth quarter ministry, citing Colonel Sanders. He started KFC after the age of 60.
Yes, he did.
And look at that damn business. Holy
cow.
Yes. Yeah, no, that and that's legit. I mean, look, you're only too old if you think you're too old, and then if you only really actually believe you're too old.
Yes. Well, you and I have talked about this at length, Charlie, between the two of us. I think we brought it up on the show. I'm not one of those guys that sees myself ever just retiring and spending my days fishing.
Right.
I have to be doing something.
Yeah, I talk about it now and again, but okay, full disclosure, before I got back into trucking, I was officially retired. I was living off of my retirement money. Right? It wasn't a lot from the Army, but I was living within those means and we were just fine. Rosie worked, at a hotel and I was Mr. Mom for several years. And then I got busy and I started raising pigs and chickens and goats because I needed things to do. And I remodeled our house, which was supposed to just be kind of like changing a light receptacle, turned into a full remodel of the downstairs of our house. Yeah, nice. That was a thing. And people were glad that I got the hell out of the house. Yeah. I got to be doing something all the time. I would love to be able to get back into the woodworking stuff that I do. I love building cabinets. I like building custom cabinets and things like that. I love wood projects all around. I'd like to have free time to do those things again. Right. Yeah. But I my passion is driving and coaching people. Yeah. And coaching on several different types of subjects. You guys know about us, coaching business and trucking. Jeff is now a certified business coach, like legit, and I'm proud of him. You should probably talk about that real quick, man, before we wrap this thing up. Just, because it's not specific to trucking. Business is what it is. It's business. Yeah. There are specialized things in trucking and some other businesses, but business principles transfer to most businesses.
Wimpy, need a second job just to afford some lumber.
You ain't wrong on that right now.
Can afford lumber? Who can afford lumber?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, when I did the remodel of the 2016 Charlie,
Right.
I had not bought lumber in so long. I
Yeah.
had some serious sticker shock when I went to Home
Oh, I
Depot to look at
imagine.
2x4s and stuff. Holy cow.
Yeah, I don't want to retire thinking that I would have to find another purpose is disturbing to me, right?
Right.
And how much labor is there involved in your fairness of snails business? I'm just saying, you're still going to be doing something.
Buy an old barn to tear down, much cheaper.
Yeah, and better lumber, I bet you most times.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's legit, Sean. Have a shop full of tools and lumber, no time to work on it. Honeydews.
Honeydews, yep.
Yeah, for real. Jeff, talk about your coaching thing, man. I'm
Okay.
proud of you.
So-
I want people to know that.
So I actually I invested a little bit of time and money in myself here recently. And I went and got certified for Donald Miller's Business Made Simple framework. And I'm going to be adjusting it to be trucking specific for our guys on the school group here in the next few weeks. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey. You know, what attracted me to this specific coaching program was that Donald teaches basically what we've been teaching Charlie for years.
Right.
He just has like these things called words to go with it.
Right.
And so I went and went through his stuff. And so now I am officially a certified business coach through that organization. And so we will be applying that to the things that we do, Charlie and I, through Road Warriors. And I will be coaching people in trucking, out of trucking. Business is business, folks. You know, we talk a lot about being entrepreneurs and how that means looking for opportunities. And, you know, like Sean, you said that you were doing the Herbalife thing. That's a good business.
Right.
You know, that's a legitimate business. I think you should work on scaling that thing. And one of the things I can do is I can help you with that.
Right.
I have the frameworks, I have the education to help you with the marketing, to help you with setting up the finances of a business. So that's what I've been spending the last about month doing.
Yeah, he put a lot of time and effort and money into this thing. And I am proud of you, sir.
Thank
you. Jeff is trailblazing for me because it's something that I've been, dipping back and forth and, trying to figure out. I have some things that I want to do, and I'm trying to figure out how to relate them to my specific little niche that I'm working on. But we actually, in our coaching call today, myself, Jeff, and Josh, I got kind of squared away and kind of put back on track to where I want to be. And I was given some great information. And, Josh, again, a certified coach and more, right? And Jeff, they tag teamed me today and got me. It was weird having this whole meeting today. It's not usually about me. This whole meeting today was about me. Like it was all they did some talking on the back end, and they were already working on this. I'm just saying, but absolutely grateful, and it was enlightening. And the curriculum, I guess would be the way to say it, as they applied it to me in my situation and my thoughts, dreams, and hopes, really kind of got me focused and a little bit fired up, and got my juices flowing and my brain turning. And unfortunately I've had a couple of migraines today, so I'm not super clear today. Probably will have another one tonight. I had a shot standing by because I thought I was actually going to need one tonight during the show. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoy the frameworks, and I've been looking at this stuff from the outside, from Jeff's view and from Josh's view, and now I'm starting to understand how it's going to work, and how it does work, and how it actually can and will make a difference in my life with, having someone like Jeff and Josh in behind me, helping steer me in the right direction. There are times when I am Jeff's coach. There are times when Jeff is my coach. There are times when it's just buddy buddy, and there are times when it's Jeff's the CEO and I'm not of our business. And he's like, look, bro, we're doing it this way. And I'm like, okay, I may not like it particularly. We'll discuss it. And then he'll make a decision because, that's what we decided. He's the CEO of our business. I did not want to be the CEO. I made that conscious decision very early on with him.
Yeah. Like I wanted to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. He don't like it, but he lost. I'm just saying. Or won. I guess it depends how you look at it. Right.
So let me ask you a question live on the air, Charlie.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any difference at all between the way I interact with you when we're doing the coaching thing before and after I did the certification?
Absolutely. It's in your coaching with me, right? Because look, I'm a bit of a special case. Jeff has to modify things because of the way that my brain works. And he's learning and has learned the tools to be able to do that and think about, knowing what he knows about me and my hopes, aspirations, desires, needs, wants, whatever, and how to approach me and guide me to the answers I need to get to the point where I want to get to. Right? Before it was like, you're an idiot, do this. Because you and I have both done that to each other.
Right.
Right. But I tend to shut down when I get that. Probably more times than not. Sometimes, look, I respond well to the drill sergeant mode in life. If someone knows how to play that card in that role really well, I can absolutely follow someone like that. But those people are few and far between. They think they're alpha. They're not alpha. Right. And I am definitely, I have my beta moments, but some might say, I don't believe they're beta moments. I believe a good leader can also follow a good leader, and a good leader can also build up a follower to become a leader. Right. So finding someone who can do that is a tough thing. But I think that I'm that type of person. So I need someone who is intellectually strong, comfortable in what they do when they're teaching me things, and able to adjust on the fly. And that's where Jeff's getting really good at this, because I'm like, man, something else some days. It's funny.
We both are.
Right.
See, on the other hand, where I sit sometimes is like Charlie will be, rah, Jeff, you need to do this. And you know what it does for me, Charlie? It makes me mad enough to do something about it.
Right.
I'll be like, filth you, Charlie. And then I'll be like, dang it, I'm going to prove him wrong. So what I'm going to be bringing to the school, Charlie, is kind of a mix of what's called Hero on a Mission and Business Made Simple.
Right.
A lot of the stuff, like we talked about today, the difference between being a lease operator and being independent. A lot of the business stuff, like Charlie, you're probably not going to be marketing your trucking business.
Right.
So that part's not going to apply to you. But how to manage your finances, would apply to you. How to create the vision and how to get out of the trap by creating a plan applies to you, right? So there's all these things that are part of the framework that apply directly to lease operators that want to grow their businesses into something else. And that's what we're going to be going over.
Absolutely. Jeff, we're going to call this thing a wrap here pretty quick. Quick on next week's show. Truck smarter, not harder. How systems, tools, and tech save time and boost profits. There's some learning Jeff and I actually are going to do this week on this very subject, because we came across a couple things. We're like, hey, that's interesting.
What's that? Yeah.
Right. So we're going to see if we can figure out the ups and downs and goods and bads and things like that, and see if there's something, a lot of the stuff will be stuff that we've talked about, but we're trying to compile it all into one spot here. So yeah, smart trucking tools and automation every owner op needs, how to save hours each week and increase revenue, because time is money. Let's be real. Real tools used by some top trucking entrepreneurial type folks. And so that's what we're going to be doing next week. With that being said, Jeff, what do you got?
You know what I got. Keep that rubber side down. And remember, with no action, there is no traction, folks.
I dig it. You guys take care of each other. There's no one out here looking after us but us. Ida, I love you. Everybody else, I love you guys too. I love Ida more, not gonna lie. Can't help myself. We'll see you guys here next Tuesday, 6 p.m. I got a little weird lag there. That was crazy. 6 p.m. Tuesday, we'll be here. I'm going to be off till then. I got some things to do during the week. If I want you guys to have an enjoyable Easter, be safe out there. I know it's not a huge drinking holiday that I can think of, but if you're out there on the road, be careful, guys. Look out. And we'll see you right here again, 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. And we'll see you guys next week.